Hi, everyone. I'm Frank Malika with KTVU Fox 2 here in the San Francisco Bay Area. My guests are Kelly Bathgate. She's the Chief Program Officer for Tipping Point, a poverty-fighting organization that is currently raising millions to help nonprofits get through these troubled times with COVID-19. And Ken Weber, he's the head of impact with Ripple. He's one of Tipping Point's corporate sponsors. Ken and Kelly, good to have you with us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you, Frank.
All right, Kelly, why don't we start with you? Tell our viewers out there, what is Tipping Point and exactly what you folks do?
Sure. So Tipping Point Community is a Bay Area nonprofit, as you said, focused on fighting poverty here in the Bay Area. We've been around for about 15 years, and we both raise money and make grants to the most promising nonprofit organizations working on key issues, everything from education, college access and success programs, housing, obviously is a huge issue here in the Bay Area, employment programs, and early childhood. We invest in both direct service organizations and are beginning to get into some policy activity and systems change work as well.
All right, and Ken, tell us about Ripple and how you're affiliated with Tipping Point.
Of course. Thanks, Frank. So Ripple is a fintech company based downtown in San Francisco. We have 450 employees globally. And essentially what we do is we work with financial institutions to make moving money across borders through cross-border payments, things like remittances and small and medium-sized business payments, easier, cheaper, more secure.
Okay, and what is your connection to Tipping Point?
So we are very proud and enthusiastic supporters and partners of Tipping Point. As a mission-driven company, we care very much about social impact globally, but as a San Francisco company, we're particularly interested in how families and children who are perhaps too poor to make ends meet on their own, how life is going for them. And obviously, COVID has hit that part of our community the hardest. We love Tipping Point for its focus and its efficacy. We love that it does a tremendous amount of due diligence in selecting the nonprofits that it funds and works with. And we love that they're led by those nonprofits in terms of the work that they do. Tipping Point adds tremendous value in helping these organizations to grow and scale and adopt technology and to sort of expand their impact in the Bay Area.
Very good. Kelly, back to you. Can you just talk about the state of nonprofits right now? Because, I mean, everyone's going through this, and on the chain of where they are, I imagine they get kind of pushed aside a little bit in terms of funding and that kind of thing. How bad is it right now for nonprofits?
Yeah, I don't want to be too down, but it's the current situation is pretty dire. I think that our organizations are serving those, as Ken said, hardest hit by this crisis. I think California has had over 3.5 million unemployment claims since this happened, and those are usually often the hourly or low wage workers that our organizations are serving. And so I think not only are the people that our organizations serve really struggling and trying to figure out how to put food on the table, how to pay rent, how to keep the utilities on. And then our organizations obviously are struggling as well with so much uncertainty. This is sort of nonprofit benefit season. And so all of our organizations, and Tipping Point included, have had to cancel our major fundraisers of the year. And so I think that there's just a lot of uncertainty around the current crisis, and knowing that unlike other crises that we've responded to, other emergencies, this isn't a one time and then the impact. The impact of this, I think, is probably longer term and yet to be seen to its full extent.
What's the criteria? How do you pick those nonprofits that you come in and support and help?
Yeah, so we have a program team led by issue area experts in each of our areas, and we are looking at leadership of organizations. We invest in leaders. Impact, we have a heavy focus on looking at the impact that organizations are able to track for the people that they serve, and work hard to support them in their efforts to do that. Obviously, financial sustainability, at the end of the day, we are stewards of our donors' dollars, and so making sure that we are making sound investments, and then ultimately that they have a program that is truly helping the people that they are trying to serve as effectively as possible.
And I know right now you're in the midst of a big fundraising project with hoping to raise over $30 million. Where do you sit right now in terms of that?
We're doing pretty well. We've raised about 20 million of that 30 million. And that is both in response to kind of substituting for our benefit and ensuring we're able to sustain social service organizations as we go into a longer term recovery, as well as a big piece of our immediate response efforts.
And Ken, I think you touched on it a little bit when you were talking about Ripple, but can you just talk about the importance for corporations and companies to kind of lock hands with nonprofits like Tipping Point to make our communities better?
For sure, it's important, not only during this time when, really all sectors are contributing, whether it's government, the social sector, the nonprofit sector, or corporations. I think it's particularly important in the Bay Area, where tech companies are such a part of the fabric of civil society, with so many employees not only working but living in the Bay Area and being part of those communities. And among our tech founders and CEOs, in our case, Chris Larson, who is our founder and executive chairman, and Brad Garlinghouse, who's our CEO, it's very important for them to take a leadership role and to be leading by example, by encouraging companies to make financial contributions and to engage, their hundreds and in some cases thousands and tens of thousands of employees in this work. Ripple, for example, encourages charitable giving by its employees. We match our employee donations 1-to-1. And if it's a tipping point or a tipping point grantee, we match those gifts 2-to-1.
Oh, wow. That's outstanding. That is great. Let's get back to Kelly now. And can you talk about maybe some of your other sponsors and some of the other companies that have really stepped up to the plate to help you on this drive to 30 million plus?
Sure. Yeah. As Ken said, we really couldn't do it without our corporate donors. In addition to Ripple, that came in over $1 million and is our kind of lead in that, we also got $1 million gift from BlackRock. Companies, everyone from Target to Levi Strauss, have come in to really support the community at this time. So we, I think in total, have about 15 corporate donors right now that have come in response to this crisis.
And has some of this money already gone out to some of the nonprofits? And can you give us maybe a little story about one that was in desperate need of help and you guys came in to kind of prop them up a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So we immediately put out the money. We've spent $3 million so far in the last month. We are doing regular rounds every 2 weeks because the urgency is really kind of key right now. So we're getting money out the door every 2 weeks to our organizations. I have many examples. One I can say is Guardian Scholars, which is a program out of San Francisco State University that works in particular with former foster youth. And so as you can imagine, when the school closed down, many of the housing, the dormitories closed and food plans were cut down. And so we have given them a lot of support to help their students who don't necessarily have their parents home to go to, with financial support and the support that they need to continue to thrive amidst this crisis.
Where do you see nonprofits down the road, Kelly? I mean, with what's transpired, it's going to take a while to kind of climb out of this economic funk, and a lot of habits are changing. Just the way we greet people, everything under the roof. Do you see things changing in a big way for nonprofits?
Definitely. That is the majority of the conversations we're having right now. I think we're beginning to kind of lift up from the very initial response and getting, food and resources out the door to thinking what's the longer term going to look like in the recovery. I think we know it's going to be a very long time. I think that the services nonprofits provide are usually in person. And so I think a lot of that's going to change. A lot of our organizations, whether they're schools or employment programs, are talking about switching to online platforms, are already doing that, and we're helping them to do that. I had a crystal ball and knew exactly what it was going to look like. What I do know is that it is going to be the nonprofit sector that helps our low-income communities really navigate through this longer-term recovery. I think employment programs are going to be more important than ever. I think that housing services are going to be more important than ever. And at the same time, as we know, the economic impact of this is going to be, it's hitting everyone. And so I think the philanthropic sector's ability to continue to raise funds is going to be more important than ever, and probably more challenging than ever. So we have a real challenge ahead of us, for sure.
Yeah, I think we all do. Ken, how about the corporate side of this? The way corporations like Ripple embrace nonprofits like Tipping Point. Do you see this still happening in the future with kind of no idea what lies ahead?
Yeah, in some ways it is potentially a silver lining, because I think this is a bit of a crystallizing event for everybody, whether they're individuals or companies, and a recognition that we do have a role to play, not just around benefits and galas, not just at the holidays, but on an ongoing basis. I've been involved in conversations with company leaders, tech founders, outside of just the normal social responsibility that companies practice, around potentially this being a unique opportunity, a once in a 50 or 100-year opportunity, to begin to talk about and think about addressing some of the long-term systemic issues in the Bay Area, like affordable housing, like the struggles of small businesses. While we have everybody's attention, to start thinking about longer-term solutions. And I know that Tipping Point is having those conversations with its grantees and partners as well.
Yeah, I think it's all made us kind of appreciate the basics. We all have stuff and we're all in a hurry, but now it's, hey, how you doing? How's your health? How's your family? And that kind of thing. And I think that will probably stick around, hopefully for a long time, because that's what truly is important. Getting off topic a little bit, but Ken, tell us what's going on. You're in Portland, Oregon now, in that area. What's it like up there and the state of Oregon, per se, when it comes to COVID-19?
So as you mentioned, I live in Portland, but count San Francisco as my home office, and I'm a former resident of the Bay Area. I can't speak for Oregon, obviously, but as a now Oregon resident, adopted home state, we feel that, we've perhaps had some early experience with this pandemic, have gotten ahead of it in terms of social distancing and preparedness in the public health sector. I know people are generally very happy to be part of the Western States Compact and aligned with two and now additional strong governors who are proving to be good managers. So there's, I would say there's optimism here, a lot of rule following, and hope for, reopening on a gradual basis over the summer months.
Kelly, I know you've got Bay Area roots as well. I'll throw in a Go Bears. I told you I would.
Go Bears.
A proud Cal alum, but you live in the Seattle area, and I know you guys were hit particularly hard, especially with that nursing home. How is life up in Washington?
I'm actually in San Francisco. My family is up in the Seattle area. So I talk to them on FaceTime every day, I can tell you. I think very similar to what Ken said. I think we are all feeling very grateful to be on the West Coast and to have strong leadership that took decisive action quickly, and to have a community that I would say for the most part is doing what they're supposed to do to keep themselves and the communities, and particularly our neighbors who are going to be most affected by this. So
hey, Kelly,
I can report on behalf of my family.
Oh, there you go. Mom and Dad. tell us if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to help you, certainly if they want to donate time or money, what do they need to do to get a hold of Tipping Point?
Yeah, so I would say go to our website, tippingpoint.org, and we have on our website, we have on the front page or the landing page, I guess, the description of our emergency response, including all of the grants that we've made to date, and obviously opportunities to donate as well.
All right. Well, Ken and Kelly, I want to thank you both for joining us here on our coronavirusnow.com feed. Pleasure meeting you both. All the best with Tipping Point and all the best with Ripple as well. And stay safe for sure.
Thank you, Frank.
All right. I'm Frank Malicote here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We'll send it back to you.